All right, so thanks for getting back. Let's continue this. Um, last session. I was in the process of tweaking the formulas, looking for a Mandelbrot fractal scene uh, detail and structure that I like. I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm not trying to win any awards. Um, but what I am trying to do is to get a scene which I think is interesting, unique. Uh, how shall I put it? That can be animated. That's something I always keep in mind. Can I animate that scene? Can I fly through it? Or can I move about it? Is it a good scene for animation? If my criteria was to create a good scene for a still, well, I'm thinking a little bit differently. But whether it's a still or whether it's an animation, I'm always looking for an interesting environment that will be interesting to the viewer and for me, fun to make. So let's get back to tweaking our formulas. Okay, so I'm going to get over here. I'm looking for interesting. I'm looking for an interesting design. Okay, now this scale vary just made a dramatic difference. Okay, now look at that. Now look at this. Now if I kind of pay attention up here, this is where I'm looking, okay? As I modify the scale variant, now I'm on minimum. I'm making very, very, very small adjustments as I move this slider. All right, something's going on up here where I'm getting something very interesting. Okay, I'm sort of like getting a ceiling. Let's push that over to main, recalculate, see what we got. Interesting. All right. Kind of a flattened out ceiling there. I've got some interesting structure developing inside here. Not much has changed in here. I'm pretty much eliminating all of that dead dark area that was in the center of the image, and this gap here is opening up, and I see that there's a lower level. Let me continue here. Now you see I'm playing. I don't know what I'm doing. I think with the Mandelbrot 3D software, you don't know what you're doing most of the time. As a matter of fact, if you knew what you were doing, it wouldn't be as much fun. This is an act of discovery. All right, I'm going to switch over to fold here. Ooh, check this out. Check this out. All right, I just modified fold. Let's push that over to main, calculate it, and see what we get here. Now, this is something that I can navigate through. I can animate through. All right, and I get some pretty interesting stuff out of this. Interesting. All right, but I'm not satisfied yet. Let's get over here and mess around with the fold a little bit more. All right, I've lost something here. Look, all right, that's where I was, and now I just continue to tweak the fold. Push that over to main. Let's see what we got. I was better off. I was better off with the graphic over here. You see, I was better off. Let's push that over to main. Take a look. All right. I've got some interesting perspective, kind of a vanishing point here. I've got a nice wide corridor that I could fly through if I wanted to. I've got some interesting um, geometric structures that are squarish and almost look like city buildings. I mean, I could like fly through a cityscape here. I've got something very interesting going on up here. All of a sudden, this is interesting. We have we have a pattern. We have a pattern. Uh, we have a pattern conflict. I got a lot of squares down here, and all of a sudden I've got some nice round corners. I wonder if I can do something with that. And I also have some depth. Well, let's see. Now let me come over here to the navigator, and I'm going to navigate around. I'm going to utilize my Stream Deck, but you know I could do it here with my buttons too. But I'm going to utilize my Stream Deck. I'm going to slide down. Yeah, that's okay. Interesting. All right, if I slide down, let me put it over here where we can see it better. Nah, no, I was better off up here. Okay, that does look a little interesting. I got a bunch of curvy stuff going on here. Let's see what it looks like. A little bit too busy. All right. It just occurred to me I don't have the Stream Deck turned on, so you can see what I'm doing. I just turned it on. Okay. All right. Let's see what we got here. I'm gonna slide up a little bit. I'm gonna slide left. Slide left. Okay. Let's see what we got. View domain. Okay. Well, I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting. I've got a deep perspective going on here. We have the objects where we're sort of like we have the sense where we're moving, uh, we're moving. How else can I say it? We're moving forward. I could animate through this, and it would be an interesting fly through. But I think it would be. I wouldn't get a whole lot of animation out of this, and I'll tell you why. Because you can see here that the pattern is pretty much repetitive. I mean, you know, watch my mouse here. These are pretty much the same. I wouldn't get a whole lot of animation out of this because if I were to animate through this, it would just have the same pattern that would seem to just fly by over and over and over and over again. And I'd pretty much be forced to have to turn or elevate or change the elevation or deeper dive or something. All right. Well, maybe I don't want to be forced into that. Maybe I don't want to have to do that sort of thing. So because I'm pursuing an animation project, I'm looking for whether or not the scene can be navigated through nicely. I don't want too much repetitive pattern. I want it to change. I want the scene to be interesting as things pass by. I don't want to be colliding with the object, all right, where I get clipping. We talked about that way in the earlier sessions of this Mandelbulb 3D tutorial series, so I don't want clipping. If I've got a nice wide area here that I can fly through. Now, I'm probably not going to have a whole lot of clipping here in this particular scene, but I think it's going to be too repetitive. All right, so I'm looking for a scene that I can animate that's interesting, varied, doesn't collide, and can maintain some interesting coloring when I get there. And also that the lighting is interesting with a lot of shadows, because shadows suggest or they simulate depth. All right, so that's enough for this session. In the next session, we'll get back to this. We'll continue to develop our Mandelbulb scene so that we get an interesting animation. All right, I'll see you in the next session.